You walk into a room and immediately feel it. The tension between those two people who are smiling at each other. The sadness behind your friend's laugh. The lie someone just told that everyone else believed. And you think, am I the only one noticing this? Can they really not see what's right in front of them? Then someone asks if you're okay. And you realize you've been staring. You've been quiet too long. You're making people uncomfortable just by seeing. So you smile. You pretend you didn't notice anything. You play along with the game everyone else is playing. But here's what nobody tells you about being the one who sees. It's not a gift. It's a curse disguised as a superpower. And every day you carry it. You pay a price that no one else understands. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what that price is. The 4 dangers that come with seeing what others don't. And more importantly, how to survive them without going insane or shutting down completely. Because right now, you're probably doing one of 2 things. Drowning in what you perceive, or numbing yourself so completely that you can't feel anything at all. Both are killing you. And there's a third option you don't know exists yet. Let me show you what's actually happening. Everyone else is at a party. They're having normal conversations. Someone asks, "How are you?" And someone answers, "Fine." And everyone moves on. They compliment the host. They laugh at mediocre jokes. They nod at stories they've heard 3 times before. And it works. It's pleasant. It's easy. It's a game everyone agreed to play without ever discussing the rules. But you're watching the wife flinch when her husband touches her shoulder. You're sensing the colleague who's desperately lonely despite being surrounded by friends. You're feeling anxiety ripple through the room like an invisible electric current. And you can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. You can't play dumb. So while everyone else is playing checkers, you're playing 4D chess. While they're watching the movie, you're seeing the strings holding up the set. While they're enjoying the magic trick, you're watching the magician's hands. And this makes you dangerous. Not because you're cruel or judgmental, but because your very presence is a mirror. And people hate mirrors. They hate being seen. They hate having their comfortable illusions exposed. Think about it. Society is like a stage play. Everyone has their part. The successful businessman, the devoted mother, the reliable friend. These are roles, costumes we put on. And the play works beautifully, as long as everyone stays in character. But you're the person in the audience who stands up mid-performance and shouts, "But that's just an actor pretending." Yeah. You can imagine how welcome that makes you. Here's the first danger, and it's the one that hurts most. You will be alone in a way that other people can't comprehend. Not the normal loneliness of not having enough friends. Something far worse. The isolation of living in a completely different reality from everyone around you. You're speaking a language nobody understands. You're seeing a world nobody else can see. Let me give you a real example. I knew a woman, let's call her Sarah, who had this ability to read people instantly. She could walk into a room and immediately know who was genuine and who was performing, who was in pain and who was pretending to be fine, who could be trusted and who was hiding something. And you know what happened? She lost every close relationship she had. Not because she was mean, not because she was judgmental, but simply because people felt exposed around her. They couldn't maintain their comfortable masks in her presence. Her friends started saying things like, "You're too intense. You read too much into everything. Can't you just relax and have fun?" But she couldn't, because seeing clearly isn't something you can turn on and off like a light switch. It's like asking someone who can hear to simply ignore sound. Once you've developed this capacity for perception, it's always there, always operating, always showing you what others prefer to keep hidden. And here's the cruel irony. The more clearly you see, the more alone you become. Because the people who could handle your depth, they're rare. Maybe 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000. So most of your relationships exist on 2 levels. The surface level, where you pretend not to see what you see. The truth level, where you're completely alone. And that split, that's what slowly drives you insane. Now here's where it gets worse. Because every time you see something, every time you perceive what's really happening beneath the surface, you face a terrible choice. Do you speak or do you stay silent? If you speak, you get attacked. Not physically, but psychologically. You'll be called too negative, overly sensitive, a drama creator, reading into things that aren't there. I remember sitting in a meeting once where everyone was congratulating themselves on how well a project was going. And I could see clear as day that the whole thing was about to collapse. The signs were everywhere. The forced enthusiasm, the avoidance of certain topics, the way people's eyes slid away when difficult questions came up. So I gently suggested, perhaps we should examine some concerning pattern. And the response? Pure defensive hostility. Not argument, not reason, disagreement, just anger, as if my perception was creating the very problems I was merely observing. This is what I call shooting the messenger. When you point out that the emperor has no clothes, the crowd doesn't thank you. The crowd turns on you for disturbing the comfortable fiction everyone was enjoying. But if you stay silent, if you swallow what you see and pretend not to notice, you begin to lose contact with yourself. Because every time you ignore your own perception, every time you accept someone else's version of reality when you know it's false, you're telling yourself, my experience cannot be trusted. And over time, this creates a split in your being. Part of you knows the truth, another part must pretend not to know. This is madness, quiet madness, but madness nonetheless. Pause for a second. Think about the last time you saw something clearly, something nobody else wanted to see. Did you speak, or did you stay silent? And whichever you chose, how did it feel afterward? Hold that feeling, because we're about to go deeper. Here's the third danger, and it's the most insidious. When you see clearly and others don't want to see, they will turn their anger on you, not consciously. They won't sit down and decide to make you the villain. But unconsciously, automatically, they will begin to treat you as if your perception is creating the difficulties you're merely observing. I've watched this pattern repeat itself hundreds of times. The person who sees clearly gets labeled. She's always so negative. He creates drama everywhere he goes. She's paranoid. He needs to lighten up. She's unstable. Notice what all these labels have in common. They all suggest the problem lies in the perceiver, not in what's being perceived. It's a brilliant defensive maneuver. Really, if they can convince you that your perception is flawed, they never have to look at what you're perceiving. If they can make you the crazy one, they get to stay comfortable in their illusions. And eventually, you start to believe them. You start to think, maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I do read too much into things. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And that's when the real damage happens. Because now you're not just isolated from others, you're isolated from your own truth. But the fourth danger, this is the one that's truly devastating. When you're constantly absorbing the emotional states of everyone around you, you begin to lose track of what actually belongs to you. Your own feelings become mixed up with everyone else's. You walk into a room feeling perfectly fine. You leave feeling inexplicably anxious, sad, or angry, and you have no idea if these feelings are yours or if you've simply absorbed them from the environment like a sponge soaking up water. This is exhausting beyond measure. Imagine never quite knowing which thoughts are your own, never being certain whether the emotion you're feeling belongs to you or to the person sitting next to you. It's like trying to hear your own voice in a room full of people all talking at once. Eventually, you might forget what your voice even sounds like. People who experience this often say the same thing. I feel like I'm disappearing, like there's less and less of me and more of everyone else. And this isn't poetry. This is a real psychological danger. When the boundaries between self and other become too permeable, when you're taking in too much without adequate protection, you can actually lose contact with your own center, your own identity. You become a container for everyone else's emotions, and there's nothing left of you. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds pretty bleak. Is there any hope? And here's where everything changes. The danger I'm describing is only dangerous when it's unconscious. When you don't understand what's happening, when you think you're going mad or that something is fundamentally wrong with you. But once you understand the game, once you see that your clarity is not a flaw but a particular kind of awareness, everything transforms. Not because the seeing stops, but because your relationship to it changes. Here's the shift. You are not required to save everyone from their unconsciousness. You are not obligated to point out every hidden truth. You are not responsible for fixing every problem you perceive. The truly dangerous thing isn't the seeing itself. It's the compulsion to do something about what you see. The belief that if you perceive a problem, you must solve it. If you sense someone's pain, you must heal it. If you notice dysfunction, you must correct it. This is where the real trouble begins. Because you're taking responsibility for things that aren't yours to fix. Let me give you an image that changed everything for me. Imagine you're walking by a river and you notice the water is muddy. You can see this clearly. Everyone else walking by doesn't notice or doesn't care. Now you have a choice. Option 1, jump into the river and try to clear it with your hands, stirring it up more in your efforts, exhausting yourself in an impossible task. Option 2, simply observe that the water is muddy. Perhaps make a note that it might be wise to wait before drinking from it, and continue on your way. The water will clear itself when the conditions are right. Your frantic stirring won't help. In fact, it will make things worse. This is the wisdom that must accompany clear seeing. Not everything you perceive requires your intervention. So how do you actually do this? How do you see clearly without being destroyed by what you see? Here are the 4 practices that will save your sanity. Practice 1. Create psychological solitude, not just physical alone time. Psychological solitude, time where you're not taking in anyone else's emotion, thoughts, or problems. How to do it? Every day. Find 20 minutes where you sit in complete silence, no music, no podcasts. Notice which emotions are present. Ask, is this mine? Or did I pick this up from someone else? Imagine releasing anything that isn't yours over time. You'll start to recognize the difference between your feelings and absorbed feeling. This is crucial. Without this practice, you'll stay perpetually confused about what's actually yours. Practice 2, the perception test. Every time you perceive something tension, dishonesty, dysfunction, run this test. 3 questions. Is this true? Is this mine to fix? What is my responsibility here? Example, you sense your friend's marriage is falling apart. Is this true? Yes, I can feel it clearly. Is this mine to fix? No. Their marriage is their journey. What is my responsibility? Be available if they ask for support. Don't force awareness they're not ready for. This test stops the compulsive fixing that exhausts you. Practice 3. Conscious distance. Learn to be in the world but not of it. To see clearly without being consumed by what you see. How? When you sense something disturbing, acknowledge it mentally. I see this. Take a physical breath. Remind yourself, I can see this without fixing it. I can know this without drowning in it. This creates what I call conscious distance. Not cold withdrawal, not disconnection, but healthy boundaries. You're not ignoring the truth. You're just not making it your personal responsibility to solve. Practice 4. Find your people. This is non-negotiable. You need to find others who see as you see. Because when you can finally be fully seen by someone who doesn't need you to be less perceptive, to feel comfortable, that's when the danger transforms into something beautiful. Where to find them? They're often in philosophy groups, depth psychology, communities, spiritual but not religious spaces. They ask questions like, but what's really happening here? They don't need you to dumb down your observations. They say things like, I thought I was the only one who noticed that. When you find them, hold on. These relationships are rare and precious. But I need to warn you about the traps, because there are ways to use this information that will make everything worse. Trap 1. Using your clarity as a weapon. Seeing clearly doesn't make you superior. It doesn't give you the right to judge others for their blindness. If you find yourself thinking, these sheep can't see what I see, that's your ego, not your wisdom. Real clarity is compassionate. It understands that people wake up when they're ready, not when you decide they should. Trap 2, spiritual bypassing. Don't use "it's not mine to fix" as an excuse to avoid genuine responsibility. If your child is struggling, that is yours to address. If your spouse is communicating pain, that is yours to engage with. If you made a commitment, that is yours to honor. Not mine to fix, a applies to other people's unconscious patterns, not to your actual responsibility. Trap 3. Complete withdrawal. Some people, after reading this, will think, I'll just isolate completely. I won't engage with anyone. Problem solved. No, that's not wisdom. That's fear. The goal is not to avoid the world. The goal is to be in the world without being consumed by it. Big difference. Trap 4. Waiting to be understood. Don't wait for the world to validate your perception before you trust it. Most people won't understand. That's okay. That's not their job. Your job is to trust yourself, even when no one else sees what you see. Let me tell you what this is really about. Under all the dangers, all the isolation, all the struggle, you're not broken, you're not cursed, you're not too much. You're simply awake in a world that mostly sleeps. And yes, that comes with a price, but it also comes with a gift. The gift is this: when you learn to carry your awareness consciously, when you develop the strength to see without the compulsion to fix, you become something rare. You become a space where truth can exist without being forced, where people can gradually wake up at their own pace, where consciousness can spread naturally, like dawn breaking slowly over a sleeping city. You're not here to wake people up. You're here to remain awake yourself. And in doing so, just by being who you are, seeing what you see, holding your ground, you give others permission to see too. Not through preaching, not through convincing, but through presence. When someone meets you and realizes, oh, there's someone else who sees. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. That's when transformation becomes possible. You don't change people by explaining what you see. You change them by being someone who can see and still be at peace. So here's where we land. You have a choice about what to do with this ability you have, this cursed gift of seeing what others don't. You can, option 1, let it destroy you, absorb everything, try to fix everyone, exhaust yourself, become bitter and isolated. Many people choose this. Don't choose this. Option 2, shut it down completely, numb yourself, stop seeing, stop feeling, become one of the people who sleeps through life. Some people choose this too. Please don't. Option 3, learn to carry it consciously. See clearly without drowning. Perceive deeply without losing yourself. Hold truth without forcing it on others. This is the path. And here's how you walk it. For the next 30 days, practice this. Every morning, before you interact with anyone, spend 10 minutes in silence. Set an intention. Today I will see clearly, but I will not take responsibility for what I see unless it's genuinely mine to address. Ground yourself in your own center throughout the day. When you perceive something disturbing, run the perception test. When you feel overwhelmed, create conscious distance. When you absorb emotions, release what's not yours. Every evening, review, where did I see clearly? Where did I try to fix things that weren't mine? Where did I maintain my center? Do this for 30 days. You won't be perfect. You'll slip back into old patterns. That's okay. The point is not perfection. The point is conscious practice. So here you are, still seeing what others don't, still feeling what others miss, still knowing what others refuse to acknowledge. But maybe now you understand the seeing itself isn't the problem. What you do with it, that's what matters. And maybe now you also understand. You're not alone. There are others like you, people who live in this strange space of perceiving more than most, of sensing what's hidden, of knowing what's unspoken. And when you find them, when you can finally be fully seen by someone who doesn't need you to be less perceptive, everything changes. Because you realize you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not too much, you're simply awake. And there are others who are awake too. And together, without force or pressure or urgency, you can hold space for consciousness to gradually spread. Not by trying to wake everyone up, but by staying awake yourselves. This is the hope within the danger, that your clear seeing, when held wisely, becomes not a burden you carry alone, but a light you offer to others, gently, patiently, allowing them to approach it when they're ready, if they're ever ready. And if they never are, That's their right. Your job isn't to wake them up. Your job is to remain awake yourself, to keep seeing clearly while learning to live peacefully with what you see. The danger is real, but so is the possibility. The possibility that you'll learn to be conscious without being consumed, that you'll see deeply without drowning, that you'll carry your awareness as a gift rather than a curse. That is the art of living with eyes wide open in a world that prefers to keep them closed.